September 12, 1683. Vienna, Austria, the largest army the Ottoman Empire had ever sent into Europe, stood at the gates of the city. 300,000 soldiers, 150 cannons. 2 months of siege. The city was starving. The walls were crumbling. The defenders were running out of everything. And then, something happened that no one had predicted. Something that would change the history of the world forever. To understand the 1683 siege of Vienna, we must go back 150 years. In 1529, Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent, Kanuni, the most powerful ruler on earth, marched his armies to the walls of Vienna for the first time. He came close, very close. But in early winter, supply problems and fierce resistance forced him to withdraw. Vienna had survived. But it had not been forgotten. For the Ottoman sultans who followed Suleiman, Vienna was unfinished business. The one great city that had defied the empire. The one wall that had held, and in 1683, the empire decided it was time to finish what Suleiman had started. The man chosen to lead this campaign was Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa Pasha, ambitious, brilliant, and dangerously overconfident. Kara Mustafa believed Vienna would fall within weeks. He believed it so completely that he made a fatal decision. He chose to besiege the city rather than storm it. Why? Because he wanted to capture Vienna intact, to loot its treasures himself. Storming the city would mean sharing the spoils with his soldiers. It was a decision. That would cost him everything. The Ottoman army arrived at the walls of Vienna on July 14, 1683. 300,000 men. The defenders numbered fewer than 15,000. For 60 days, the siege ground on. Ottoman tunnelers burrowed beneath the walls. Explosions brought down section after section. Inside Vienna, food was running out. Disease was spreading. People were eating horses. Then rats. And beyond the walls, Europe watched. Waiting. Afraid, because if Vienna fell, the road to Paris was open, but help was coming. On the night of September 11th, from the Kahlenberg Ridge above Vienna, signal fires were lit. An army had arrived. 80,000 men. Polish, Habsburg, German. Led by the King of Poland himself, John Sobieski III. On the morning of September 12th, they descended from the hills. And at 3 in the afternoon, King Sobieski gave the order. Charge! 18,000 cavalry thundered down the hillside. The Polish Winged Hussars, soldiers with enormous feathered wings on their backs, thundering at full gallop, crashed into the Ottoman lines. It was the largest cavalry charge in the history of warfare. And within hours, the Ottoman army had broken. Kara Mustafa Pasha fled, leaving behind everything: his tents, his treasury, his food stores, his equipment, and something else: his coffee. The retreating Ottoman army left behind hundreds of sacks of coffee beans, an unfamiliar substance that Viennese citizens had never seen before. A Polish officer who had lived among the Ottomans knew what it was. He opened the first coffee house in Vienna that very year. From that moment, Vienna became the coffee capital of Europe. The Ottomans lost the war, but they accidentally gave Europe one of its greatest pleasures. When the news reached Istanbul, Sultan Mehmed IV was furious. He dispatched a messenger to Belgrade, where Kara Mustafa had retreated. The messenger carried a silk cord. In the Ottoman court, there was no need for an explanation. A silk cord meant one thing. On December 25, 1683, Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa Pasha was strangled. He had lost the gates of Vienna. He paid with his life. The Battle of Vienna was not just a military defeat. It was a turning point in history. For the first time in nearly 3 centuries, the Ottoman Empire had been stopped, pushed back, forced onto the defensive. In 1699, 16 years after Vienna, the Ottoman Empire signed the Treaty of Karlowitz. For the first time in its history, the empire gave up territory. Hungary, Transylvania, Croatia, Podolia. Gone. It was the beginning of a long, slow retreat. That would last for 200 years. Until the empire itself was no more. And it all began at the walls of Vienna. On one September afternoon, with 18,000 horses, thundering down a hill, history turns on moments. A supply line that breaks too early. A commander who is too greedy. An army that arrives just in time. The Ottoman Empire did not fall at Vienna. It was still powerful, still vast, still capable of wars and conquests. For another century and more, but something changed at Vienna. The empire that had seemed unstoppable had been stopped. And once the world knew it could be stopped, it was never the same again. This was Ottoman Secrets. And the palace still has more to reveal. Subscribe. And stay close. Because every week, we unlock a new secret.